Okay, well, hello, buenos dias, everyone. It's time for another nuts and bolts video, and in this video, I want to go ahead and spend a little bit of time talking about how the discussion board process works. But just a few basic parameters, then I'll get into the nuts and bolts, the nitty gritty, so to speak, in terms of what you need to do to post your comments. All right. As I mentioned earlier, I split the class up into two large discussion groups. So right here we're looking at the section 501 class. So as I mentioned before, Group one is everybody with last names from A through J, and then Group two is everybody with last names from L through Z. For those of you in section 502, the last name order is a little bit different. So definitely be sure to double check in the discussion board to see exactly the distribution of the letters for, again, this for section 502. But for section 501, as I mentioned, group one is everybody from last names A through J, and group two is everybody last names L through Z. So the way this works is that um, each group consists of at least about 20 people, but that may fluctuate. That may go upwards of maybe 25, maybe to 26 people, depending on when the final add process is completed. So once the new arrivals to the class, whether people were on the waiting list or are crashing the class, once they're finally admitted to the class, then by the beginning of second week, we'll have a better idea in terms of how many people are in each group. So the numbers could vary, but again, the point is that the distribution in terms of the last names will stay stay the same. So again, depending on whether you're in section 501 or 502, just double check to make sure where those letters are in terms of where your last names are placed, are categorized. So what happens is a group one that's the first half of the class. You'll be working on three discussion forums throughout the course of the session. You'll be working on forums 1, 3, and 5. And these are forms which correspond to the readings from that week. So Form 1 is the week 1 reading, Form 3 is the week 3 reading, and Form 5 is the week 5 reading. Conversely, for those of you who are in Group 2, you'll be working on the even forms. Form 2 corresponds to the week 2 readings, Form 4 to the week 4 readings, and Form 6 to the week 6 readings. We're not going to have any. There's not going to be any form discussions for the topics pertaining to week 7, and because we have such a compressed schedule in terms of 7 weeks, I figured we'll just use 6 weeks to do the discussion process. So and then as you saw in the syllabus, your comments, that is the different comments, the responses that you put in each of the forms, the totality of all that will make up 10% of your class grade. And remember that in order to get in the best chance to earn an A on that, you must participate in your required forms. So, for example, if somebody in Group 1 does a great job in posting in forms 1, 3, and 5, you answer your question, you reply to me, you reply to somebody else in your group, then you're in great position to get an A. But if let's say somebody in Group 2 posts comments in Forum 2, misses Forum 4, then posts comments in Forum 6, well, that's 2 out of 3, so that's roughly, you might say, 66%, 67% of the total work. Most likely your grade would only come out to about a C. And then if you only participate in one forum, 1 out of the 3, you're going to get the highest you'll get will be something closer to a D grade. So in other words, in order to ensure that you get the best chance to score an A or a B in the forums, make sure you participate in all 3 of your required forums. In other words, the more you do, the better chance you get for earning a high grade. All right. So now that those basic parameters out of the way, let's go ahead and find out now what you need to do in order to post your comments. And let's go ahead and start with and use Form 1. Again, this is in the 501 class. We'll take a look at Form 1. And let's go ahead and open up the form right now. Well, first, before we open up the form, what I have right here is a list of 22 questions. 22 questions are pertaining to the range of topics that we'll be looking at this week. So topics pertaining to the Olmecs, to Teotihuacan, to the Maya. So anything within the range of the pre-classic and classic periods of Mesoamerica, that is the topics for this week's readings. That's the domain of, excuse me. That's the domain of the form questions, and the vast majority of these questions do pertain to the ancient Mexico readings. Some of them, there's a scattering of questions that'll pertain to the National Geographic articles. I think I've got a question here about the Maya film, and one thing pertaining to the Teotihuacan PDF copy. But again, the vast majority of these questions do correspond to the ancient Mexico readings. And the due date for your comments, that is what I call your original comments, that's June 26th. So that's a week from Friday. So basically my format is you have a week to get through the readings, and then the following week, the week after, that's when you go ahead and start posting your comments about these about these questions. So it's sort of I guess you might say a delay, or in the old days of sports TV, long before cable, ESPN came on the scene, a tape delay. I know right now the big news in sports is the Warriors just won the NBA championship. But I remember back in the old days, the late 70s, when all those games, they were on tape delay. You had to wait till 11:30 at night after the local news to actually watch some of those games. So I'm not kidding. Long before Magic Johnson and Michael Jordan joined the NBA, the NBA was definitely relegated to late night TV, like 11:30 p.m. Midnight. So in other words, my point is, where the NBA was on a bit on tape delay, you might for our purposes here, we're on a bit of a delay too, in that you read the information from the week first, and then the following week, then go ahead and start posting your comments. Now, on the topic of comments, there's different types of comments, or different categories for the comments. So let me go ahead and open up the form, and I'll show you what I mean here. Okay, first off, I already went ahead and posted written instructions. So if you just want to, so if you're more, so some of the things that I mentioned earlier, I have echoed right here. So so this gives you a little bit more specific information in terms of what you need to do. But again, what I'm talking about in this video, that's basically a elaboration on what I have written here. But let's go ahead and talk about the process in terms of what you need to do to post the comments. Now, there should be enough questions for everybody. So everybody in group one, everybody in group one, right now, think about which question you want to cover, and then when you know what question you want to cover, post a claim to it. A claim means that that's the question that you want to work on. So much like the old timers in the gold rush in 1848, they came to Northern California, they came across the stream, and there's gold in them there hills. This here's my claim for the gold. Basically, you're going to do the same thing here. So, but instead of looking for gold, you're going to claim the questions that you want to work on. So what I have also here in the form is a sample claim, in that I'm going to stake a claim to question 7. And basically what I do is I say, hola, group 1, I want to cover the Olmec question. This thing looks interesting to me, blah, blah, blah. You don't have to write as much as I have here, but you get the idea. So in other words, tell the group what question you want to work on. And in the subject heading, which is what I have right here, indicate the question that you want to work on. So look in the discussion form first, and make sure that you choose a question that nobody else has taken. So in other words, I chose question 7, and let's take a couple people in the class as I guess guinea pigs, so to speak. So let's say Andrea, maybe she wanted to choose question 7, but because I beat her to it, she can't claim question 7. She's got to choose another question. So maybe she decides to choose question 1, which is about the changes in civilization, defined between micro bands, macro bands, villages, hamlets, things of that nature. So in other words, if a question is If a question is chosen already, you can't choose it. You can't choose it again because it's already been claimed. Take another question, and everybody do the same process until basically the vast majority of the questions are taken up. Uh, it's possible that there might be a few questions left over once everything is said and done, but that's no big deal. But again, my point is that if a question has already been claimed in the form, if someone already staked the claim to it, it's done. You can't claim it. Just choose another question. So. Um, so that's the claiming process. That is, you go in and you say to your group, I want to choose that question. That's that's your claim. Now, after you claim your question, the next thing you need to do is post what I call your original comments. What that means is that you're going to now answer your claim. You're going to answer your question. So let me reopen my my sample claim right here, and what I'm going to do right now is, now that I chose my question, I'm going to go ahead and answer it. So what I do is I just hit reply. Let me go and open that up to show you what that looks like. And then in the message area, then just answer your question. And of course, there's a question about the Olmec. So I would say something to the effect that the mother culture idea for the Olmecs is definitely valuable, blah, blah, blah. The Olmecs had this, the Olmecs had that. They were pioneers in agriculture, monumental architecture. The early religious leaders became the foundation for political leadership, blah, blah, blah. You get the idea. So what I'm doing right now is, as I'm answering my question, I'm posting what's called my original comment. So again, original comment means that's the answer to your claim. So again, claim means that's a question that I'm going to work on. Original comment means this is my answer to this isn't the answer to my claim. So so just keep that in mind, everybody. So that is when I say things such as a claim and original comments. But we're not done yet. But that's only part of the process, because now the other thing that you need to do is you need to also reply to somebody else in your form. So again, let's say after I posted my answer about the Olmecs, then let's say that Andrea and Vanessa, you two ladies, you want to elaborate, you want to respond to me, because again, keep in mind, everybody, that when you that is after you post your claim and then your original comments, then you have to reply to two other people, and one of those other people being me, El Profesor. So reply to somebody else that's within the group, and then to me as well. So let's say that Vanessa answered question one, and then Andrea comes in, and Andrea replies to Vanessa. And then Andrea also replies to me. So because Andrea replied to both Vanessa and also to me, and of course, she already had her original comments. Let's say she chose the question about the question one about that is the terms of villages, hamlets, microbands, macrobands, things of that nature. So so in other words, you've already got that covered. So in other words, um, um, just posting the original comment within the forums, that's only half the battle, so to speak. Now you've got to reply to others, and those others being somebody else within the group, one of your classmates within the group, and also to me as well. And I post my responses. I post my answers to everybody, usually on the Saturdays after the due date. So let's go ahead and go back into the discussion board itself, the main area. Okay, it should be loading up any second now. Here we go. Okay, so usually my policy is that once everybody posts their original comments by June 26th, then on the following Saturday, which is Saturday the 27th, that's when I reply to everybody. So Saturdays I usually devote to replying to everybody's original comments. So then after that, so whether it's later that Saturday on the 27th or Sunday the 28th or Monday the 29th, then go back into the forum group 1 and then reply to everybody else within the group, and then to me as well. So in other words, the dates for the due dates, all these due dates here, this applies to original comments. These are the dates in which I want you to, number one, not only claim your question, but answer your question. That is, post the original comments in which you answer your question claim. But after the 20s, after the due dates, then go back into the forums and then reply to me and reply to at least one of your classmates within the forum itself. And even though I've been using Forum 1 as an example, of course, this applies to everybody in Group 2 and Forum 2. Just follow the same process, the same procedure. And likewise, to those of you in the Section 502 class, follow the same process, that same procedure that I've been outlining here. So I hope this video helped give you a sense in terms of what you need to do. But of course, if you need some clarification, especially as we get more into the second week of the session, by all means, let me know. And as I said in the previous videos, from now on, everybody, use Messages for Professor to contact me. You don't need to, don't worry too much. Try to get away from using the Southwestern email, but for more rapid responses for anything about the class, any concerns or questions, start using Messages for Professor. Okay, all right. So again, just to quickly recap, the key terms. Claim means that you're going to, that is, you choose a question and you tell your group that I claim that question. I want to cover question 3. I want to cover question 7. I'll take question 9. Blah blah blah. That's the claim. Original comments means that is. This is the answer. This is the answer to your claim, the answer to your question, and then replies. Replies means that these are the answers. This which when you write back, you respond back to either me or somebody else within the group. So in other words, in each forum, each of you will be responsible for posting at least three things. Four things. I try to say 4 things. That is, 1 is your claim, 1 is your original comments, and then your 2 replies, 1 to me and 1 to somebody else within your group. All right. So I hope that gives you a sense in terms of what you need to do. Again, any concerns or questions, let me know through Messages for Professor, or you can post your concerns also in the general forum. You can use that too. So next week, those of you in Group 1, depending in either of the 501 or the 502 sections, go ahead and start posting your comments next week, and then at the end of next week, and after coming up on Saturday the 27th, that's when I'll begin posting my replies to all of you in Forum 1. Again, whether you're in the Section 501 or the 502 class. All right, everybody, that's it. So I'll be back tomorrow with one more Nuts and Bolts video. In tomorrow's video, I'll talk more about how the Chicano Time Travel Journal section works.